It's been a long time coming for boxing in Nigeria. I remember before the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, we had a camp where we had boxers coming for trial. But the then sport minister, Sunday Dare, had to disband that camp after they had spent close to 10 days in camp. And he had said, no boxing for Nigeria, we're closing down the camp. At that time, boxing did not go to the Tokyo Olympics. But come Paris Games, we saw boxers head to Paris for the Olympics. Yes, prospects in the likes of Patricia Mbata, who is the foreign one who had to come join with the Nigerian team. We had Cynthia Ogunshemilore also coming up there, also going to the Commonwealth Games too, to garner medals for Nigeria. At this time, we're seeing 17 already unveiled by the Nigerian Boxing Federation, and 10 will be those that will make it and pack their bags to the Commonwealth Games. We are always having good stead in the Commonwealth Games, garnering 4 medals in the last Commonwealth Games. But this time around, with these prospects, with what we have seen so far, with the preparation in line, are you confident that at this time maybe we are on a good trajectory, we're on the track with boxing in Nigeria?
Well, yes, and I think you can say that we're actually taking a step in the right direction, because honestly, it's been a long time coming. I mean, if you think about it, 6 years ago, when Nigeria actually had an opportunity to expose these guys on the world stage, to actually give them a platform. So certain issues happened and it was disbanded, the camp was disbanded, which was not a good one. But now this is another opportunity, and I'm actually very hopeful, especially with this new crop of prospects. I'm hopeful that they can go into the Commonwealth Games, they can actually even fight for medals, and even maybe we can get 1 or 2 from the boxing category, and then we'll have a lot to celebrate, because it's been 24 years without a medal in the world of boxing, the Commonwealth Games for Nigeria, and honestly, it's been long overdue, and I believe that this crop of talents can actually change the tides in our favor.
Yes, it will surely change the tide, but with the way boxing is going, I think they're beginning to dot their I's, cross the T's. We had an election that came in with new administrators to the Federation, and I knew that there would be a light at the tunnel for boxing in Nigeria. Nigeria has always dominated when it comes to physical sport. We've not always been so great with sports that do not have to do with our physicality because of our kind of body build. So boxing is supposed to be one of our forte, one of the sports we're supposed to get more medals from. At this time, we are seeing 17 already picked. 7 will be dropped down. And we're not hearing of any foreign boxer joining up with the team. But every single time we head up to competitions, we get 1 or 2 foreign boxers join up with the team. Are you confident that what we've seen so far, with the 17 we have seen so far, there is no need to have any addition from the foreign-based boxers?
I think at this point, it's best to just trust your gut and go with the group of players, the group of boxers that have actually been in the camps, the ones that have actually gone through the test of time. And obviously, even after this 17, we also know that, out of this 17, 7 are going to get dropped. So I don't really think it's necessary to make any additions into this for the 17. So, because I think it's best to just give these guys the opportunity to showcase themselves in the final camp that is coming up next month, and then just trust that you have the best available talent on Nigerian soil to actually even go and represent the country. And
do you think that the House has cleaned up itself so well that we will not get all the hiccups we did see at the Paris Games, especially at the suspension of Cynthia at the Paris Games? Monies were spent to take Cynthia to Paris, but at the end of the day, she was disqualified. She was suspended because of anti-doping violations. Do you think that our House is clean enough to not have this kind of hiccups at the Commonwealth Games?
I would hope so, because this athlete is actually know what's at stake. You do not want an opportunity to showcase yourself for the first time for some of these guys, and then you go on and then you make a mess of yourself. Because honestly, you might think that if you take a couple of years off, the world might forget, but the world won't forget. Your reputation is at stake at this point in time. It's better going to this competition with clean hands and taking the right substances, having a very clean schedule, clean routine, and not having anything come back to bite you. Because trust me, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. There's going to be a lot of heavy screening, and you do not want to find yourself in a position whereby you are being called for multiple tests, and then it gives a bad stain to the country and yourself. So I'm hopeful that these athletes have actually learned from the mistakes of the past.
Not only learning, but also have a list of what the banned substances they should not be seen with. Even if it's even the water they take, or maybe the energy drink that they have to consume, especially before going into fights, they should know what shouldn't be in the content. I think educating them is most important going into this competition. But I share in your confidence, I share in the hope that you've got right now to say that Nigeria must have to do better. Maybe they've cleaned the house and will not put the nation in disrepute at the Commonwealth Games. Let's still stay in boxing where Jai Optaia, he risks being stripped of his IBF Cruiserweight World title if he proceeds with the scheduled bout against Braden Glutton on Sunday for the Zuffa Cruiserweight belt. Now, the International Boxing Federation confirmed the warning following a press conference held at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas on March 6. Now, according to the IBF, the Zuffa World Cruiserweight title fight remains set for March 8 despite the governing body's position. The organization stated that it reserves the right to sanction bouts alongside with other bodies only when they comply with its regulation. If Optaia proceeds with the contest under those conditions, the IBF indicated that he could be stripped of his Cruiserweight championship. So it's in the hands, the ball is in the court of Optaia. If he has to fight under Zuffa boxing, then he will be stripped of his Cruiserweight title. I do not understand at the moment what is the force around those who are fighting under Zuffa boxing. We saw Ifeat Jagba Nifemi, make his debut for Zuffa boxing, and he made a very strong debut there with a strong performance against his opponent. And right now, it seems any franchise that becomes the talk of the town, we have the IBF, the WBA, they go so hard on the franchise, even having to tell Optaia that if he gets to fight under that franchise, he will be stripped of his Cruiserweight title. At this time, where does he stand, Nifemi?
Honestly, I think this is something that Optaia has to think very carefully about, because do you really want to risk losing your title over a fight? Because then again, you have to weigh the pros and cons. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think the money is worth it? Do you think the opportunities that come out of this are worth it? Because if the IBF strips you of your title, sometimes you understand that when you go into go further in your career and you want to kind of challenge others, or you want to have other people challenge you, you kind of just drop a step or a couple of steps in the talking points, because you're not as hot, you're not hot property anymore due to the fact that you're not a champion. So I think this is something that he has to actually weigh. And again, is there something that the IBF maybe needs to tell him about concerning when it comes to this whole issue with Zuffa boxing and all? But then again, I think for Optaia, I think what he's really thinking about in all honesty is the pride that comes with continuing to fight and continue to establish a name for himself in the world of boxing. And I think that is something that's super important to him. But my own question is it really worth losing your current title over?
That's a big question to ask, but it's in the hands of Optaia at the moment right now. If he really would like to relinquish that title and then fight on that Zuffa boxing, but you must know that the pause speaks. So if Zuffa are ready to offer him what the belts would likely give him if he carries that belt for a period of time, then I think he should make the best decision. But it's all about purse. It's all about money at this time. So it's in his hands to know what to do next after this warning coming from the IBF. All right, we'll take a short sting right now as we go into conversation around the Nigeria Premier Football League. One match expected today, and of course, you get to hear that after the sting. And it's that time to bring you updates from the Nigeria Premier Football League, the NPFL 2025-2026 season. We have a special, of course, segment where we focus on the NPFL and all happening in the NPFL. And we get the news right now that Katsina United have declared star striker Uche Collins absent without official leave. They call it declaring him AWOL at the moment. After he reportedly abandoned the team and went into hiding, according to the club. The top scorer last featured for the club on February 22 in the NPFL match against Rangers at the Mohammed Diko Stadium. Since then, he has been unreachable and vacated the club's accommodation without notice, this is according to the club. Chairman Alhaji Surajo Umar Baba confirmed Collins is in breach of the contract given to him, and he may be negotiating with a European-based side. This is according to the chairman of Katsina United. Katsina United has reported the matter to authorities, warned potential suitors of legal consequences, and requested that Collins' international transfer certificate be withheld until the issue is resolved. The club assured fans of its commitment of enforcing NPFL, FIFA, and contractual regulations to the letter. Now, we heard of a lot of clubs coming up to say a particular player has gone AWOL. Sometimes it's always about the club's sense of entitlement. Sometimes always grievances that do not get resolved by both parties. But this time around, we're wondering what is really the case behind this conversation around a top scorer of a team, Katsina United from the Nigeria Premier Football League to be precise, going AWOL on the team. Even before the end of the 2025-2026 season. Nifemi, do you have any thoughts concerning this? When things like this play out in the NPFL, what do you envisage?
Honestly, on one hand, I kind of understand why he would, if according to the reports anyway, he's actually negotiating with an European side. I understand why you want to take that opportunity, because it's an opportunity to expose yourself to European soil, continue to actually grow in your career, an opportunity to actually earn more money. And this is something that doesn't come very often. But on the other hand, you're contractually obligated to see out the season. I don't know how long he actually has on his contract, but you're actually signed to a contract currently. You've been playing games for the football team. Then all of a sudden you are going AWOL just because you don't want to play for the team any longer. I don't think he has gone about it in the most transparent manner, at least based on the reports that are available to us. And
now, these reports we're talking about, they're coming from the club, because the club, they've made this announcement that
so, he has gone AWOL on them. Yeah, like you said, sometimes there could be some grievances behind the scenes that were not resolved. And I do think it's a very messy situation. And I don't really see how Uche Collins comes out looking in a good light from the end of this saga, because if he doesn't now end up getting the opportunity to play for a European club, what if Katsina United decide not to actually bring it back into the fold? What if they ostracize him for the rest of the season? It's going to be a big issue. Of course, I don't know what the stipulations will be. It's going to be put on hold pay. But at the same time, you don't want to create such a bad reputation for yourself, because you always want to leave or end relationships on very amicable terms at the end of the day. All
right, Nifemi. Let's have a gentleman who follows the Nigeria Premier Football League join this conversation right now. I understand we have Robert Olimene joining us. Hello, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us. This is where, I'll call it your natural habitat. You love this conversation around Nigeria Premier Football League. You're welcome to In the Game. Nifemi had shared his thoughts, and we are hinging on what Katsina United released to the public concerning Uche Collins, and the status of him going AWOL on the club. Now, Robert, as someone who follows the Nigeria Premier Football League so closely, how concerning is this situation where a player like Uche Collins, who is a top scorer for his team, Katsina United, is declared AWOL by Katsina, especially when the club says that he may be negotiating a move abroad. Please happen that he may be negotiating a move abroad. So it might be looking like they are perceiving this, and that's the reason why they brought a statement that says he has gone AWOL. What does this seem to signify when a club is going this direction with their top scorer?
No, good morning. It's good to be on the show. And speaking about Uche Collins, I saw the release yesterday and I read through and I smiled because this is not the first of such in the league. We've had similar cases in the course of a couple of seasons. Last season, 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, there were releases like this. Starting the fact that some players decided to just, take a walk. Let me just call it taking a walk. And of course, the issues were later resolved. For Uche Collins, this is a player who is pivotal to what Katsina United are doing. And of course, last week in Ikene against Remo Stars, he wasn't available. And of course, this is one player who is very, very important to the team. And let's not forget that recently, about a couple of weeks ago, he scored a hat-trick against Wiki Tourist in that modern derby. And that was one game that got the attention of the whole country as well as those who follow the NPFL closely. Now, coming down to the issue at hand, for a player who is AWOL, and just like you said, there are suspicions that he is secretly negotiating a contract. I don't think this is the best way to go. And I think that clubs as well, players really need to find a way to work around this. And of course, we know, looking over the other divides, talking about advanced leagues in the world where a player desires to leave a club, he makes it public, he tenders a transfer request. And I believe that if Uche Collins wants to leave Katsina United, he can travel the same route. Tell Katsina United you do not want to play for them any longer. Tender a transfer request, and of course, let there be negotiations between all the parties involved for a smooth transition from the NPFL to whatever league he decides to go at the end of the day.
Okay, Robert, I can wrap my head around why clubs in the NPFL or players in the NPFL choose not to go through the correct route, or let's say the very fair route, in order to make this amicable between both sides. What is the fear? What is behind the player's mind when they do this, especially when they have to speak to other clubs, agree contracts with other clubs, even while they're still at their parent club? What is the force around this that we cannot have this settled? We cannot have this done the normal way, just like you said, that in other climes we have players say, I need to move out of this club. My agents are already speaking with other clubs. It's known to the public. Why can't we have this done in the NPFL? Nifemi, let me start off with you.
I think the biggest issue is that according to certain reports, sometimes when these players want to make moves, they assign percentages of these deals that are maybe not negotiated in the fairest of manners. From the perspective of the player. Sometimes maybe it feels like the club side are maybe demanding for too much or too many things that the opposition or the buying club might want to provide. That's one thing that is possible. Then another thing is sometimes we can have issues with agents actually badly advising these players against going through the amicable route and the correct route, which should be telling your football club that
what do they stand to gain? What do they stand to gain doing that? There must be a gain. That's the reason why they're going through that route with their players. What do they stand? What do these agents stand to gain by doing that?
Yeah, the gain is more money, more an opportunity to improve your financial state and financial situation. Because if you actually realize what goes on in the NPFL, a lot of contracts are not lengthy, they're not that guaranteed. And also, they don't want to run the risk of players who have actually come through the ranks, have gone through hardship to make it to the professional point. Anytime they see the opportunity to actually earn more money, I think they always want to take it, which I completely understand. But you cannot always make that kind of decision at the expense of the feelings of others, especially your employers, because it's not always going to end well for you, because they hold a lot of power and they can decide to actually stifle the opportunity for you to make that move. So I think it's always the gain of more money.
Okay. All right. So the case of more money, Robert, at the moment, Katsina United has asked that Uche Collins' international transfer certificate be withheld in line with regulations from FIFA. Do you think the league authorities are doing enough to protect clubs when situations like this arise? Because I do not know who the club is instructing at the moment to withhold its international transfer certificate.
Well, I would answer this question going another route completely.
Okay.
And it's going to expose a different issue that happens in the MPFL. I have said it over the years that there is not enough transparency in the league. Again, I would point to other leagues abroad, and particularly in the PSL. That is at the South African Premier League, where if you go to the website or to the pages of some of the teams or most of the teams in the PSL, you get to see the figures attached to the business that they do in terms of buying and selling of players. Again, in the NPFL, I will give you a recent example. Amas Yusuf, I'm trying to be short of the name, that is the highest goal scorer for Nasarawa United last season, has left the NPFL. There was little or no noise as touching when he left the league. And of course, if you go online to search for how much the transfer fee was for the player, you do not get to see anything. And this isn't good enough for an MPFL league that is about 50 plus years old. So for a league like Nigeria, where data, where information, where correct figures is as scarce as gasoline back in the days or back in the late 90s, it is a serious problem. And of course, like I said once again, I beg your pardon. Like I said once again, for Anas Yusuf, for Uche Collins, going about this the right way should be a case of Katsina United and the management. I wish not to play for the club any longer. I want to terminate my contract by mutual consent. And of course, let us work out an agreement with this party, talking about the team I want to go play for, in terms of a transfer fee, something that is acceptable or agreeable to all the parties involved. And of course, he can move. This, should I call it, this high-handedness from the player or those who are giving him the perceived advice as it is, will not bear the needed fruit for his career as well as for this particular transfer. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of transparency really needs to come in the league from teams in order to help the league grow, as well as also put people's mind at ease going forward.
All right, put people's minds at ease going forward. That's where I'm going to happen, because we've had a lot of worries around the Nigeria Premier Football League. We see the PSL, just like you've mentioned and you've cited, they have players coming in from Guinea. They have players from Nigeria. Come on. If we're talking about our goalkeeper, Stanley Wabali, who is now a free agent, he was playing in the PSL before he became a free agent. They have people from Tanzania, Shalulile, plays for Mamelodi Sundowns. That's a league that has put themselves out there as a well-organized league. When do we have Nigeria Premier Football League have foreign-based players? No, do not mention that goalkeeper from Benin Republic, please, do not. But when are we going to have more of them coming from Tanzania, from the shores of Africa? We need to get our acts together at home, put every single thing in place. Concerning players' welfare, very important. When a player is about to leave the shores of a particular country and then test maybe other leagues from the continent, they look at how the leagues take care of their players. You would agree with me, isn't it, Robert?
I would agree with you on that. And like you said, it's been a while. We had diverse numbers of players from other countries. Yes, the goalkeeper for Remo Stars is from Benin Republic. He also made an appearance. He was on the bench for Benin Republic at the last African Cup of Nations. And of course, you have a couple of other people or other players in the league from other countries. But in this case, like I said, if you actually take a look at the PSL, you have players from Brazil, as far as Brazil. And once upon a time, we used to have players from Brazil as well. But in building the brand of the MPFL, in ensuring that the MPFL is attractive, not just for players across the world
And
or
not
in
just
Europe
for
or in South
sponsors.
America.
But
Yes.
for the fans, they must see it attractive. They must see it as something that they can invest their time watching or even attending matches, live matches. It's not only for sponsors. It's not only for those the brands who are bringing in the money.
I think, sorry to quickly button. I
Yes,
think
please.
in the recent seasons, the attendances in stadiums has been very commendable. I am based in your state, and I can tell you for a fact that if you come watch Shooting Stars games every Sunday or Saturday or whichever day the league body fixes the MPFA game for Shooting Stars, you will have a full capacity stadium. Worst case scenario, you're going to have 70%, 80%, 90% capacity at the Lake Salami Stadium in Ibadan. And I can also say same for other stadiums I have visited in my coverage of the MPFL. The fans in Ilorin, they love Kwara United so much, and they pay good money and they turn out en masse to come watch Kwara United. I can say same also for Remo Stars, as well as for the good people of Accra. They love Sunshine Stars when they were in the MPFL, and of course they come out en masse to watch their game. So across the league, and of course in the southeast as well, the fans come out. Rivers United, yes, in as much as the stadium is far away from town, like some of their fans complain about, they do got decent number of attendance when they play in the MPFL.
All right, we'll be hoping that they can do better. We'll stick with the conversation around the Nigeria Premier Football League, but let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the fixtures to expect today in the MPFL. Welcome back to Talking Nigeria Premier Football League. I've got with me, joining via Zoom, Nifemi Adegoke, sport journalist, and one who follows the Nigeria Premier Football League. I've got Robert Olimene on standby. Thank you, gentlemen. It's time for us to talk about today's fixture. Yes, the top six, bottom six of the Nigeria Premier Football League is hotling up. We have the top six running in for the title, and those in the bottom six having to battle relegation. Anything can happen in the top and bottom six of the Nigeria Premier Football League. But today, we have Wiki Tourists and El Kanemi Warriors. Both sides are going head-to-head in the fixture for today in the Nigeria Premier Football League. Wiki Tourists captain has said that they've confirmed issues which led to the team's temporary boycott of training, and those issues have been resolved. The captain, in the person of Mohamed Idris Gouda, he says, following discussion with the club management, they have resolved the issues and they are ready to go up against El Kanemi Warriors. We remember that the players had earlier stayed away from training due to what the captain described as a communication gap. Of course, that really created some buzz around the management and the players, their relationship. However, after a series of meetings aimed at addressing the concerns raised by the players, normal activities resumed. And now, Wiki Tourists, they turn their attention to face El Kanemi Warriors for the matchday 29 fixture of the Nigeria Premier Football League for the 2025-2026 season. So this fixture, Robert Nifemi, will take place at the new Jos Stadium. Kickoff time, 4 p.m. today. The match will serve as an important test for the team as they aim to return to competitive action with renewed focus and unity. Now, Robert, you're close to the league so much that I should be able to ask this question. Looking at matchday 29 clash between these two sides, how crucial is this game for Wiki Tourists, judging by the fact that they are trying to find their feet, stay afloat in the Nigeria Premier Football League this season?
For Wiki Tourists, the league is match and they are amongst other things looking over their shoulders in terms of the relegation conversation right now. And we'll say that the teams from 15, 16 downwards, or even in this case from 14, 15, 16 downwards, they are in serious, trouble in terms of what 3 points or what 8 points can do to ensure that they escape the drop, or in this particular case, they go into this dogfight with 10 rounds of games to play. So for Wiki Tourists, as the table tells us, They have 32 points from 28 games.
Yes.
And of course, the fact it's no different that is holding them up from falling into that abyss where you have Canopilas, Remo Stars, Kwara United, and Kun Khalifa. So the Wiki Tourists, they need to win today. It is not something they can negotiate. They need to win today. And once they can do that, it will power more pressure on the likes of Eimba, Canopilas, Remo Stars, Kwara United, and Kun Khalifa.
All right, yes, we see that the relegation zone is hotling up, and Wiki Tourists, yes, they are atop the relegation zone, but are not entirely safe. So Nifemi, at this time, they get to play this game at the new Jos Stadium. How significant is this venue for them to host El Kanemi Warriors?
I think from the standpoint of the fans rallying around them, I think that would be a huge boost. And honestly, I think going into this game, like you said already, they need to win. They have no other option, but they need to win. And I think having the opportunity to play in this new stadium, which is obviously going to be a good pitch, the opportunity to do that, the opportunity to have your entire team and some of the best available players also play for you. I think play in this game for you in a must-win game against a side that's in the top 10, mind you, of the MPFL this season, which shows their consistency. I think it's going to be a difficult game, but I think it's one that they have to be up for it from the first minute.
All right, yes, they have to fight for it. That is what it's all about in the 2025-2026 season of the Nigeria Premier Football League. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining us on the show. We appreciate your time on In the Game and your thoughts concerning the Nigeria Premier Football League.
Thank you very much for having me.